I'm John Bohlinger with Premier Guitar, and I'm with Slash. Hey, Slash, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
Man, congrats on the album.
Thank you.
I mean,
thanks.
God.
I mean, I'm laughing because it's such a surprise to me that everybody's so into it. Because when we did it, it was just really just for the fun of it, and we had a great time making it, and we did it relatively quickly. And then on top of that, we did it a year ago, because I couldn't release it right away because I was in the middle of a Guns tour.
Sure.
And then I had the Conspirators tour on the heels of that. So I had to wait till all that was done. So we just released it pretty recently. So I hadn't even really put that much thought into it.
Right.
And all of a sudden everybody's, really excited about it. So it's nice.
Yeah, I'm thinking, I'm calling it now, I'm thinking of Grammy. Why not, right?
Thank you.
So, other big news, your 335, that kind of came into play on this, right?
Yeah, there's a guitar store in LA. I don't know if I can talk about brand but there's right near where I live, there's Norm's guitar store, Norman's Rare Guitars.
Sure.
And I went in there one day because I do that. And he showed me this 1963 335 that had this really sort of cool finish on it. And I played it in the shop, and I thought, this is actually a really great guitar. So I ended up buying it from him. And then, a couple months later, I ended up going in the studio to do the Orgy of the Damned record. I took that guitar with me, and it became the most used of my guitars on that record. Right?
Really? Was it okay? Like, how did that happen? It just fit the part.
Well, it's just for this. I think the songs that we were doing that I was using it for. Over the Les Paul, it had a much more cleaner, but still aggressive kind of sound, and it really worked to get the chords to really sing out, and it also worked for the solos and everything. It was almost like I'd never played a 335 before, which I have a couple. I just never locked into it like I did on this record. So it's become a pretty predominant part of the set. But Gibson decided to reissue it, and so they came up with this replica of that particular guitar, so it's nice.
Yeah, I'm told, we're at the Gibson Garage right now, and I'm told they've already sold out of.
Yeah, that's what they told me, which is cool. But I mean, I used the replica that Gibson made now, live.
Oh, really?
And I left the 63 at home because the new ones sound really great. So.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
So, on the album, how did you select the songs?
It's sort of it's pretty simple. Like all these songs had a very direct influence, like very specific influence on me. But in the late 90s, I had a blues cover band called Slash's Blues Ball.
Right. And
so a couple of the guys that played on this record were my partners back then, and we had this drunken club band, and we had a really killer set list. And so it was something that even back then I thought, God, I would love to record this. But it was just for the fun of it at the time. We were just having a good time, and I didn't ever take it that seriously, so it never happened. So fast forward all these years, and I'm thinking, God, I really want to do a blues thing. And I thought, well, I'll call Teddy and Johnny up, and maybe we'll sort of put that back together. And so Teddy actually had the set list from like 1998 and 99. So I looked at it and I was like, well, let's do this song, let's do this song, let's do this song. And that was basically it. And then there was a couple songs that we didn't do in the set back then that I've always wanted to do. So, I put that into the list. And I wanted to make sure it was no more than like 10 songs.
Right.
And that was it. So just really, really specific songs that had a very direct influence on how I started playing guitar, or just music that I really loved when I was a kid.
Right. Yeah, in listening to the record, I mean, you can hear, it just sounds like guys in a room just throwing down.
That's what it was all about. It was just, that's why we didn't spend a lot of time with it. We just wanted to be very sort of fun, just jam on the song, come up with our own arrangements, how we sort of think it should go.
Right.
All the guys have a lot of integrity as far as the influence is concerned, so always stay true to the melody and to what really made the song great as far as we were concerned. And the rest of it was sort of an open palette, right? And then just jammed them until we got some sort of an arrangement that we liked, and then went straight into the studio and recorded them live in the studio.
Great, great. And last night, when you all played here, you were using your 335, but also that Explorer, that Firebird.
Yeah, the Explorer is cool.
Cool.
It's a replica of the. There's a vault back here, and there's a 1958 called Big Ed 335 Explorer,
right.
And so Leo Scala, who's a luthier that Gibson uses, or he does stuff with Gibson. He built this, right, and I heard about it. And I said, hey, can I check that guitar that I heard you made? And he brought it over to the house, and I've had it ever since.
Yeah. No, Richard Forrest.
Yeah, Richard Forrest used his stuff before I did. And he's the one that first turned me on to Leo.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, and then the Firebirds are just, I have a couple of them that they just sound great. You know, I love Firebirds.
Great, man.
And then there's a couple Les Pauls in there.
Yeah. And even a Travis Bean.
Yeah.
Big surprise.
I've been using Travis Beans. I have one out on the Guns tour as well, that I predominantly use for slide.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Really cool guitars though.
Yeah. It was really fun to hear these kind of different tones. You know, it like kind of took you a little different place. It's really cool.
I think it was fun doing this record because, you know, like. I've been doing a Les Paul Marshall kind of a thing obviously for Guns, and that just sort of morphed into Velvet Revolver and into the Conspirators, and I just always. But there was a period there where amp-wise, I started to have I was like with Marshalls, it's just starting to get a little stale for me, you know. Yeah. So on this record, I had all these combos that I was trying out, and I had this Magnatone combo.
Right.
And that changed a lot of things because it's more sort of a growly, old school kind of, and it's not such a saturation-driven type of amp, you know. Yeah. And it really sort of made some of these guitars where you could really get into the tones of the guitars because it wasn't dominated by the Marshall kind of saturation.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it really made some of these guitars sound great.
Oh yeah. You know? Yeah, and I mean your rig. We'll talk to your tech later on, but we got a sneak peek at it, and it's so minimal.
Yeah.
And so bare. I mean, like a kid could walk into Guitar Center and basically buy.
That's
your pedal board. You know?
Well, and that's actually this is the first time I've even used a pedal board on my own.
Yeah, because in stadiums.
Because Craig, my guitar tech, you know, when I'm doing Guns, we know all the songs, and it's just all I use is a preamp and a wah-wah pedal, right? So for the preamp, he just knows this is where the solo section is and stuff like that. But on this sort of application, I've got the wah-wah and I've got the preamp, but since there's so much improv going on, whenever I use the preamp, I have to do it myself because I can't look at him every 5 minutes back and forth, or you know what I mean? So it's been an interesting thing, and I got a phase on there that I'm using, and a couple old school vibro kind of deals for some of the Hendrixy stuff, and it's cool. I'm having a good time with it.
Right. I mean, you're stomping on them again. That's great. How long has it been?
It's been a long time. I haven't had a pedal board in front of my feet since the 80s.
Well, because you guys got so big so fast.
Yeah, I mean it's just, you know, there was never much to use anyway. But like the guitar techs always would just do it. A lot of it had to do with the fact that you run around so much that trying to get back to your pedal board was an impossibility. Right. You know, and even then, I have on these big gigs, I have 3 wah-wah pedals strategically located so I can be anywhere and still get to one.
Yeah, because that's your one.
Your one go-to. Yeah. So, but in this kind of setting, the stages, you know, like I'm not doing as much of that. You know, I'm sort of sticking to one area. I'm using a cable. Right, no in-ears, like down to like real basics. So you know, I can afford to have a pedal board where I can control my own stuff. Right, and you're like stretching a lot on this show. Like you guys, do you have the arrangements do they kind of go where they go? They're a little open-ended. So that's one of the great things about doing this is that you have not everything is so structured, and you can just sort of open up, and then you just have to turn around to every guy's, okay, I'm done, and then you shake out with it.
Yeah, that's good. So you can call an audible.
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, that's great.
But I have a good relationship with these guys, and we've, like Ted and Johnny and I go back a long ways.
That's your keyboard
That's the
player?
keyboard player is Teddy, and Johnny Griperic is on drums. I mean, on bass, sorry. And then, so we have a chemistry that goes way back. But Tash came into it, and he's somebody that I saw play at one of these blues functions that I did a few years ago, and he got up and sang and played guitar, and I was like, wow, this guy is great. So we had him open for the Conspirators back in 2022, I guess it was, and his band was phenomenal. So that sort of stuck in my mind. So when I was doing this record, I thought he would be great to bring into this. He's a great guitar player, really bluesy guitar player.
Amazing singer.
And great singer.
Yeah, man.
So,
living for the city?
Yeah, no, that was the only reason I could get away with doing that song. Because he could sing it,
Yeah, I mean, that's like, what a killer song.
Yeah, when we go on a tour, we didn't do it last night because we had a short set. But when we got on tour, that's going to be one of the staples in the set.
Oh, yeah.
But there's a great chemistry, though. So we can improvise and look around at each other and sort of, call an audible. And,
right.
Yeah.
And are you going to play pedal steel on this?
Yeah, I will on the tour. There's 2 songs that are earmarked for pedal steel. So we've been rehearsing them, but we only could play an hour. Yeah. So it'll definitely be part of the set. So I'm looking forward to that.
God, man, that's great.
I'm getting better at it, and you get better when you go out and put yourself in front of an audience. It forces you to pick up your game a little bit.
Right.
Otherwise, people throw shit at you.
Right. When you're live without a net, there's no choice.
It really sort of moves the process along to learn how to do it properly.
Yeah, that's great. Well, man, I'm excited about the record. So glad you could join us today.
Yeah, man, no, it's great to sit down with you. Yeah, thank you.
We're going to go talk to your tech and get the rest of the details.